Hola y bienvenidos a la unidad 3, lección 31A. Welcome to unit 3, lesson 31A, present tense regular AR verbs. Okay, so you are going to need your conjugation handout. It's two-sided. On one side, a list of verbs. On the other side, your note-taking sheet and reference sheet. So make sure you have that along with something to write with, and you might want to have some index cards to make flashcards for your vocabulary. This is a partner optional activity. If you don't have all those things, pause the video and come back when you're ready. Ok, el objetivo de hoy, los estudiantes podrán conjugar los verbos regulares AR. So you're going to learn to conjugate regular AR verbs. El verbo de hoy es conjugar, to conjugate. You're going to find out what that means. And I have a nice infographic today. I thought this was appropriate coming in at Unit 3 now. You're starting to work on becoming bilingual. So what are the benefits of that? There's many more benefits, but some of the big ones are more job opportunities, better reasoning skills. Your brain actually changes when you become bilingual. It stimulates the brain. You can earn 5 to 20% more. It is better stress management. You can have fewer brain lesions, right? So it actually promotes brain health. And again, another way it promotes brain health is by helping to fight the onset of Alzheimer's disease. So lots and lots of great benefits of being bilingual. All right, as always, this sheet here with your verbs and your conjugation rules is available to you anytime on your online resource binder. It's in the verbs section, and it is the present regular's most common verbs. All right. If you didn't already do this, if you were, you should have followed the directions in the unit grid. You should have made a copy of this document and added it to your Google Classroom. And you should have read these statements and moved the boxes to where you are, yes or no, right? So if you haven't done that, pause the video and do this self-evaluation. I want you to do this so that you can see where you're starting out, and then at the end of the unit, how much you have, or at the end of the level, how much you have grown, and also to self-assess and make sure you're ready for the progress check at the end of the level. So again, if you haven't done that already, pause the video. Okay, so real quickly before we get started with learning about conjugations, I wanted to remind us that a basic sentence has to have two parts. It needs a sujeto, a subject, y predicado, a predicate, right? A sujeto es la parte que nombra quién. So the subject is the part that names who's doing the action, or what. Predicado es la parte que cuenta, que hace. So the predicate is the part that answers what's happening. So, for example, las ranas, the frogs, comen insectos, eat insects. So the subject are the frogs, and what are they doing? They're eating insects. La mesa ocupa poco espacio. The table is the subject. It occupies very little space. That's the predicate. Los niños juegan fútbol. The children is the subject. Juegan fútbol, the predicate. So we want to make sure that we always have these two parts so that we can have complete sentences, just like in English. To be able to do that, we've been working with some subjects, and now we need to start expanding with verbs. So we're going to be using what is called a conjugation chart. You've been looking at this a little bit already, kind of with the verb gustar, and you've been looking at this a little bit with your to be verbs. So If you haven't already memorized what this chart means, you need to do so now. So you should take a pause and make a flashcard for this and practice with it until you understand. So the left-hand column is singular, the right-hand column plural, and across the rows we have primera persona, first person, segunda persona, second person, and tercera persona, third person. First person is when we talk about ourselves. I, number one. So first person singular is just myself. First person plural is when it includes myself plus at least one other person. That gives us nosotros, we. And then remember that in Spanish, there's an all female version. So if everybody in the group is female or identifies female, we have nosotras. Second person, number two, is when we talk to somebody, right? You, hey, you. So second person singular, tú. Second person plural. In Spain and some other places in Latin America, they have the same idea of informal, like first name basis. So you all, if I was your teacher in Spain, you all, vosotros. Or if everybody in the group that I'm talking to is girl, identifies as female, then I would use vosotras. And then lastly, we have third person. Third person is when we talk about somebody or something. So we have él, he, ella, she, usted, which is actually you. It's actually a second person, but it conjugates. It's going to use the verb form of third person. And then the plural of that, ellos, many people, them, they or them. Ellas, they or them, all girls. And ustedes, you all. Okay, so we use this chart to help us learn and memorize our verbs and our verb endings when we do a process that is called conjugar, to conjugate. To conjugate is el proceso de cambiar el verbo infinitivo para el tiempo verbal y el sujeto. So, conjugation is the process of changing the verb from the infinitive form. The infinitive form means it's in its raw state. We haven't done anything with it. And we're going to change it to make it match the tense, tiempo verbal, tense, future, past, present, and for the subject, the person or thing doing the action. So this is the same as English, right? So our infinitive in English is to run, to jump, to eat, to fly. We don't say I to fly. We say I fly, or I flew, or I'm going to fly, right? Same thing is going to happen in Spanish. So you have that definition up at the top. You need to be able to put this into your own words. That's one of the requirements from this unit is you have to understand and know what the word conjugate means. You also need to understand and know what are the two steps. So there are two steps to conjugate los verbos regulares en el presente. So regular verbs in the present tense. We are going to cut off the AR, the ER, or the IR from the verb. All verbs end in one of these three. AR is the biggest group of verbs. The most verbs end in AR. ER is the second biggest group. IR is the smallest group. After we've cut off the AR, then we are going to add the ending for the correct ending for the subject based off of our conjugation chart. So make sure that you filled in the blanks on your sheet here with this information. Okay, so now we are going to learn what are the endings for present tense verbs of the type AR. We're just going to start with the AR group because they're the biggest. So our ending for first person singular for yo is O. On your sheet, I've already put the O. Our ending for second person singular tú is as. So go ahead and fill that in on your sheet. As. Tercera persona, a. First person plural, nosotros amos. Ais, an. So fill out your chart right here for your AR verbs. And then you need to practice so that you know you can go down the left-hand side and the right-hand side just from your brain. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. You need to get that memorized in your brain so that as you're thinking about using your verbs, you can go through your brain. Oh, this is a nosotros. Amos. I'm going to put a amos on the end. Eventually, you don't have to think about it anymore. It just gets programmed the same way that our verb use in English is programmed. We don't think about conjugating our verbs. It's just there. All right, so let's look at how it works now in practice. So I'm going to take the verb hablar, which means to talk or to speak. My first step of conjugating was to cut off the AR. So I put it in red here. I've cut it off. The reason I've done that is so that I can find the stem. The stem of this verb is H-A-B-L. Now I'm going to take that stem. I'm going to plug it into my conjugation chart, blah, 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 all the way through. And now I'm going to add my endings. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. So that gives me yo hablo, I speak. Tú hablas, you speak. Él habla, he speaks. Ella habla, she speaks. Usted habla, you formal speak. Nosotros hablamos, we speak. Vosotros habláis, you all speak. Ellos hablan, they speak. Ellas hablan, all the girls speak. Ustedes hablan, they speak. Let's take another look. So again, our endings, o, as, a, amos, ais, an. I've got the verb trabajar. So what am I going to do? My first step, I'm going to cut off that AR. That's going to give me my stem or my root, which is T-R-A-B-A-J, trabaj. So I'm going to plug my stem in here, trabaj, and then I'm going to add my endings, o, as, a, amos, ais, an. And that's going to give me my final conjugation. Yo trabajo, I work. Tú trabajas, you work. Él trabaja, he works. Ella trabaja, she works. Usted trabaja, you formal work. Nosotros trabajamos, we work. Vosotros trabajáis, you all informal work. Ellos trabajan, they work. Ellas trabajan, the girls work. Ustedes trabajan, you all work. So just that simple, 2 steps. Cut off the ending, AR, ER, or IR. In this case, we're only practicing with the AR so far. And then you put back the other endings, o, as, a, amos, ais, an. All right, now it's going to be your turn. So in your grid, I put a link for you to copy another document and attach it to Google Classroom with a bunch of conjugation tables that look like this over on the right. You have a couple of things that you're going to do. You're going to start with the first 5 AR verbs that are here on this list. Amar, andar, ayudar, bailar, cambiar. And one at a time, you're going to first write the verb up at the top in the empty space, in the blank space. So I have put amar, and I put the English meaning to love, so I can start memorizing. My second step, I'm going to conjugate correctly. Remember that for vosotros, there's a tilde, there's an accent mark. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to cut off my AR. That leaves me my stem of AM plus my ending O, amo. AM plus as, amas. AM plus a, ama. AM plus amos, amamos. Am plus ais, amais. Am plus an, aman. And then third, you're going to write in the English translations. So I've already put the beginning of the sentences on the sheets for you, the I, the you, the he, she, you, etc. You just have to put it in there. So I love, amo. You love, amas. He, she, you, formal love or loves, ama. We love, you all love. So I want you to do that. It seems a little busy work, but it's really important for this first step of learning how to conjugate. It's going to help you memorize, and your brain's going to start to internalize these processes, and it's going to start to internalize the meanings of the verbs. Right? So I want you to do that for your first 5 verbs. And when you're done with the first 5, then I want you to pause, come find me, and have me check your work because I don't want you to get too far if you're making mistakes. So we're going to find your work and get you going, or check your work, and then we're going to get you going. All right. Once you've done all that, you're going to continue. I'll give you the okay. You'll continue and you're going to finish all your AR verbs. And then I also recommend making flashcards with just the verb on one side and the English translation on the other side so that you can memorize the ones you don't already know. And if you want to put the conjugations, that's even better. All right. Good luck, and we'll see you on the next lesson.